Water, the elixir of life, aptly named by the Indian Nobel laureate C.V. Raman, who truly believed it to be a life giving force. A single liquid that could change the entire scene. In his famous essay, he recalls standing on the line separating the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. On one side was a vast area covered with sand and without a speck of green or single living thing. On the other side was one of the greatest, most fertile, and densely populated areas. It was teeming with life and vegetation, the only difference being the blue waters of River Nile. Water is such an important aspect of life that the former US President John F. Kennedy once said, "Anyone who could solve the problem of water is worthy of 2 Nobel Prizes, one for peace and one for science." 70% of the earth is covered in water in the form of ocean, lakes, and rivers, and up to 60% of the human body is made up of water. It is used by all terrestrial animals to provide essential minerals for nourishment. Apart from this, it forms an integral part of agriculture in form of rain, industries in form of coolant, and household in form of drinking, cooking, and washing. Nothing more needs to be said about this important resource, which is the basis of all life. Today, we discuss the sum total of all processes that ensure that this elixir is made available to us. Yes, you guessed it right. We bring to you the hydrological cycle, or more colloquially known as the water cycle. Water cycle is the process by which water moves from land and ocean to atmosphere and once again back to the land and ocean in form of precipitation. It is a very dynamic process and is equally affected by a variety of factors over the ocean and land surfaces. Water, being very fluid, doesn't stay in one place and is in a constant state of motion, changing between different states as well as location. The different states include liquid, solid, and gas, and locations indicate land, ocean, or atmosphere. The term cycle denotes that the movement of water is a continuous process. Movement of water is usually characterized as follows. The vertical movement of water in its gaseous state, that is water vapor, from land or ocean to atmosphere is called evaporation. While moving in the atmosphere, it cools to become liquid droplets via condensation. Further cooling of liquid droplets to ice crystals while still in motion in the atmosphere is called freezing. The downward motion of water, either in its liquid or solid states, from atmosphere to ocean and land is called precipitation. Once on the ground, the precipitated water seeps further into the soil through infiltration. Finally, when the land becomes saturated, the water flows to nearby reservoirs, and this we call it surface runoff. Each of these stages form an integral part of the water cycle and complement one another beautifully. It may be a surprising fact that the water cycle affects climate and is a key factor in climate change. This is because each stage of this water cycle involves energy exchange. The energy is absorbed or released from and to the environment, causing a direct impact on the long-range weather patterns which we call climate. Now, let us break down the whole process of this water cycle in a step-by-step manner to get a crystal clear picture. Right from a young age, we are taught to plant trees. The reason is they help in an important starting stage of the water cycle, which is called transpiration. Transpiration is the process of water movement through the stomatal apertures of plants and its exchange from aerial parts such as leaves, stems, or flowers. Water is necessary for plants, but only a small amount is taken up by the roots, which is needed for their growth. The remaining 97 to 99% is lost by transpiration. Transpiration is often combined with evaporation, which is the transformation of liquid to gas phase. In other terms, it is a process by which water from large sources such as ground or ocean get converted into water vapor, also referred to as moisture in meteorology. The source of energy for evaporation comes from the solar radiation. Absorbing the solar radiation, the water parcel gets heated up, resulting in a phase change. Evaporation implicitly includes transpiration from plants, and together this whole process is referred to as evapotranspiration. Following the process of evapotranspiration, the water vapor is advected vertically upwards in the atmosphere either by convection, orographic lifting by mountains, or synoptic scale cyclonic systems. Advection is an important aspect for formation of clouds, and precipitation of water from clouds is an integral aspect of the hydrological cycle. Without advection, water that evaporates from the ocean or land will not precipitate, thereby breaking the cycle. Once the moisture is advected into the atmosphere, the process of condensation kicks in. Condensation occurs when a parcel releases the heat energy and starts to cool. During evapotranspiration, water molecules are in a gaseous state, and as they move upwards, they begin to cool down due to decreasing temperature with altitude. In this process, they transform into liquid. Sometimes, under the influence of strong advection, the liquid is lifted to higher levels of atmosphere. As we know, at those higher levels, the liquid could reach its freezing point, forming ice, a process referred to as freezing. Condensation and freezing eventually lead to formation of thick rain-bearing clouds that majorly contain droplets and ice crystals. The amount of moisture convergence and conversion to liquid or ice governs the nature of the clouds and the propensity of precipitation. In order to understand the finer details of cloud formation and its dynamics, we strongly recommend that you watch the Fundamentals of Cloud Dynamics video from our channel. You could click on the video list and check it out. Liquids and solids are heavier than gases. Therefore, the liquid droplets and ice crystals in the cloud cannot stay suspended for long duration in the atmosphere. As they grow bigger in size, mainly due to coalescence, they fall under the influence of gravity. This stage is called precipitation. What goes up must come down, and this holds good for water as well. There are different modes through which precipitation could happen, but predominantly it comes down as rainfall. So it is clear that rain is the eventual outcome of the water cycle, and rain is something which we all long for. Its role in all aspects of life is indispensable. We long for rain, knowing very well the fury that any rainfall episode could bring. Despite this, it is an asset for Earth. The atmosphere recharges the ocean and land surfaces in the form of precipitation. Three important sub-processes associated with precipitation are storage, infiltration, and runoff. Storage simply means that the precipitable water falls over catchment areas like lakes, reservoirs, and rivers, which later become available for a variety of human needs. Infiltration is the flow of water from the ground surface into the ground. Once infiltrated, the water becomes soil moisture or groundwater. Groundwater recharge, which is one of the widely discussed aspects, happens because of infiltration. Without groundwater recharge, one cannot think of bore wells, which are a primary source of water in some regions. That said, a more conservative and eco-friendly method of exploiting infiltration is rainwater harvesting, which is slowly being embraced by many people. Last but not the least, we have the water runoff, which is the process by which water moves across the land and mainly into the ocean. This includes both surface runoff and channel runoff. As it flows oceanward, the water may seep into the ground or evaporate into the air or get stored in lakes and reservoirs. This is technically the last step in the hydrological cycle, which also marks the beginning of it. Once again, from ocean and land, the water goes into the atmosphere through evapotranspiration. This natural cycle ensures that our planet Earth, positioned perfectly from the sun, has sustainable life. We all love rains and eagerly look forward to the first rain shower and the petrichor. The next time you experience rain, take your bike and cycle around the lakes, reservoirs, beaches, and farmlands to virtually experience one of the wonders of science called the hydrological cycle, or also known as the water cycle. In our upcoming videos, we'll be seeing and talking a lot about river and rain, and we are sure that this video will be revisited by you all. We hope this video refreshed the basics of water cycle and most importantly gave a scientific overview behind rains. As they say, wonderland lies in simplicity, and this is one of the simplest aspects of science. Water is the elixir of life that needs to be conserved. We hope that you learned ways in which this could be done. Please do your part, and who knows, as John F. Kennedy once said, you could win the double-pronged Nobel Prize, one for peace and one for science. If you like our videos, please share them with your family and friends. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for instant notification for updates on our upcoming contents. Until then, this is Sridhar Balasubramanian signing off for MedConnect. Thank you and have a great day.